Hey y'all, welcome to Pleiadian Point of View. I'm Peyton with Peyton Energetics, and I'm a Pleiadian channel and starseed coach. So in today's point of view, the Pleiadians are going to talk to us about how to speed up our ascension timeline. Because I don't know about y'all, but one of the questions that I am relentlessly asking my guides is, how can I go faster? How can I get on a faster timeline? So I've asked the P's to address that in today's video. But before we jump into talking about how we can speed things up, don't forget, hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. Now, whenever we start to talk about the ascension process, of course, we are all well aware by now that we're not all on the same timeline. It's really tempting for our human minds to look around at the world and think there's one version of reality. But we know that that is not the case. There are infinite timelines. And many of us on this planet are not even headed in the same direction. So we often talk about timelines, and the P's in particular have been talking for years now about how the timelines are separating. And in general, this is just referring to the fact that there is one group of timelines that we sometimes refer to as ascending timelines, which is those people who have chosen at the soul level to ascend in this lifetime, and those who have made the very valid soul choice not to. They may have decided they're not ready, that their soul needs to learn more. So for whatever reason, we have people on this planet right now going in very different directions. So it can be very tempting for us because we have just come out of kind of what you can think of as an energetic waiting room, where over the past 3 years, every soul was making the decision of its timeline, of its path forward. And we are just coming out of that now where most of those decisions have been made. And so we're seeing very different realities play out on this planet. We are seeing people who are really going through it, and we are seeing people who are flying high, having the most blissful experience you could ever imagine. So one thing that can often trip us up right now as humans is looking at what other people are doing and getting worked up about it. So it's so tempting for us to look around at the world at large and get a little stressed out at what we see happening in the collective, right? It can really put us into fear, into anger, into powerlessness when we start focusing on what other people are doing. Because as we do that, we tend to match the vibration of whatever is happening. So if we are listening to scary news stories, we tend to fall into fear. If we are listening to mainstream events and what is going on allegedly in our world, we tend to get into anger and judgment. And all that means is we're accepting an invitation to a lower timeline because we are looking at what someone else has created as their reality, and we're matching ourselves to it. So what happens every time we do this, and it's a natural human tendency, none of us are immune, what happens is we put the emergency brakes on our progress. Because as we are looking around at the choices that other sovereign beings are making, if we get into emotional reaction to them, especially negative emotional reactions, fear, judgment, powerlessness, we are accepting an invitation to a lower timeline. So we jump off of our timeline for a moment and we get in their car. And this is something the P's have been encouraging us to be very careful about, because right now it's very tempting to look around and judge what other people have chosen, because we can see into many other timelines right now, including timelines that we're not even on. So if you want to get on the most speedy ascension path possible, this is one of the areas that we want to be aware of. So the more we're looking around at what others are doing, the more we are following news stories, the more we are on our information platforms looking outside of ourselves, the more likely it is we will put the brakes on our growth. Just by virtue of the simple fact that as humans, we tend to have an emotional reaction to what we're listening to, and we tend to believe it. So every time we do that, it's like hitting the emergency brake. So one thing that the P's are offering to us is to minimize how much we are sticking our nose in what other people are doing. And our goal with this is never to be in avoidance or denial or suppression. That is never what the P's are advocating. Instead, what they're encouraging us to do is be neutral, to look at whatever you might be seeing in the world around you, or what someone else you know might be choosing or going through as a life experience. And remember that they are the God of their reality. They are the creator of it all, just as you are of your life. So when we look at others and we judge them, when we look at others and we're like, no, keep it away, don't get it on me, I don't want that, we're matching the energy of what we don't want. So our goal instead, in what the P's are offering to us today, is to encourage us to look at what others are doing with neutrality, to realize that they may be choosing something very different from you, and that's okay. Their choice can't get on you. You're not going to get contaminated by it. So when we can look at what anyone else in the world is doing, or even our entire human collective, and be neutral, have no judgment, not be in fear or anger or powerlessness, we stay on our timeline. And as we do that, we start to move faster. Because as we are able to look at what others are doing, even if we don't agree with it and would never ever choose that ourselves, if we can look at that and be neutral, then we drop our resistance. We drop our separation from that topic, whatever it is that's firing us up. So our goal is just to be able to look at anything that someone else is choosing and stay neutral. So a great, very simple practice that the P's have taught me over the years, whenever I'm seeing someone who is maybe making a choice that I wouldn't make, is just to send them love. Because as you do that, you don't separate yourself from them. Whenever we look at what other people are doing or choosing, and this can be on an individual scale, maybe you see someone who is choosing to remain in density, or this can be the collective. If you're looking at stories of what is allegedly happening in the world and having that negative reaction, we keep ourselves in separation. And that is just kind of the definition of 3D, right? Is separation. So when you stay neutral, when you send that person or the entire planet love, you honor them as the creator of their reality without accepting the invitation to join their timeline. And as you do this, the speed of your progress accelerates because you're taking off the emergency brake. So whenever you're looking at something or someone and getting fired up about it, and there's a lot of temptations out there, a lot of things that are trying to tempt us onto lower timelines, when you can look at that and be neutral, to realize that you don't have to choose it, even if every single person on this planet does. You have total creative control over your environment, your reality. And the more we start to pull out of reacting to what others are doing, the more we keep ourselves in our lane, so to speak, the faster we move, because we start to remove ourselves from some of the collective agreements that are slowing things down. And the best way to do this is to just send love to everyone, to anyone who's choosing something that you wouldn't choose. Because when you do that, you honor them as the creator of their reality, and you stay on your timeline. Because anytime we are looking at others and judging them, making them wrong, guess what? We jump in the flaming dumpster with them, and we don't have to do that. So you stay on your path by sending love, staying in neutrality, staying in your heart, and just refusing the invitation to join the dumpster fire. So that is a simple thing you can do to speed up your ascension progress, get on a little faster timeline, is always by releasing resistance. And this is one of the big ways you can release that emergency brake that has been slowing you down, just by letting other people do their thing. So that is the simple little technique that the P's wanted to share with us in this week's POV. Let me know in the comments below, what questions do you have for the Pleiadians? Drop those in the comment box. And while you're down there, don't forget, hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.